For Sports Mikey B in the flesh. Yes, I'm back. NBA's on. We're starting tonight. And we got to get into all the things that are going down with the freaking NBA trades. What's happening with the first man and the only man I want to discuss in this topic, James, the beard man, Harden, out of Houston, talking about, I'm leaving. He's trying to get out of there. And you know what the problems are with that? The problems are he's too expensive, and there's going to be a lot of gutting to try to get the man. But I want to discuss a little bit more about James. I want to talk about the man in the flesh and how he's handling the situation and how he's not the league. The league made him. He didn't make the league, and he could get into some trouble with regards to teams starting to push off and say, you know what, let's get a new start. Let me give you the situation that James Harden has at hand. I don't blame the man for where he's at. I'm just talking about the way you handle it. I'd rather a LeBron James type handling than what James Harden is doing right now. Let me talk about the $50 million a year that he is turning down from the Houston Rockets. That's quite a big sum, and that's quite a lot to survive for a family. I mean, that is generational wealth. He has it already. However, he could cement that with this contract. $50 million a year, I believe it was over 4 years, $200 million. James, that's tough to turn down, but you can see the man wants to win a title. You can see he's passionate about the game. He wants success, and he has had a long run with the Houston Rockets. So as a player, you understand his position and say, you know what? I want a ring more so than the money. And that is tantalizing for some ownership of some team to say, you know what? This guy actually wants to win, and it's not all about the dinero. Realizes that that's just one part of life, not everything. Now let's talk about where he wants to go. It's a smart man to say, why would I stay in the West with all this work that's out here when the East Coast had the Miami Heat make the freaking championships? Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler, Adebayo, Tyler Hero, my hero, gets into the championship. Why wouldn't you look at the East Coast as a stomping ground? And the team that's talked about the most that I'm going to get to here is the New York Nets, Brooklyn Nets. I'm from Jersey. I'm still remembering New Jersey. I wish it was, but it isn't. He's going down there with Durant, Irving, and Harden. But now the plot thickens. As you can see, Nets Newswire, guess what? Nets are talking about trading. The Houston Rockets are talking about, we're not making this deal unless we're going to see Mr. Kyrie Irving or Durant in a Houston Rockets uniform. Now, remember the moves that Houston has just made. They brought over JaMarcus Cousins and John Wall. I'm going to argue with James Harden right now, even though he thinks he's worse off, even though he's lost Russell Westbrook. James, you may be going into the best Houston team that you've ever had. Now, Russell is a freaking dog, but you didn't ever have a center who potentially, even at 70%, is better than any center that the Houston Rockets have ever had in DeMarcus Cousins. If he can get back, again, to 70% of his form in this league, one of the best centers in the NBA, in my opinion, at one time, you're good. You're good. And now you're leaving that to go to a guy that's coming off an Achilles injury, a guy that's often injured with knee injuries. And I know the Houston wants Kyrie. And you want to take that guy? The other thing, what it would take to try to get James Harden over to the Brooklyn Nets is freaking bananas. A little bit too much to swallow. Let's look at the Brooklyn Nets lineup and what would have to happen. No, let me give you what I think needs to happen for them to get Mr. James Harden. And there's key factors that they need. We know about the stars, Kevin and Kyrie. But what about Karis LeVert, a budding superstar, a budding all-star? Just needs the time. Why would you let that go? You add on to that a defensive presence in Jarrett Allen. Joe Harris, they just signed, don't like the contract. They got Landry Shamet, but I think Spencer Dinwiddie is included. One of the best six men. So you got two of your top guys, scoring-wise, going over to the freaking Houston Rockets. That's too much of a gut, in my opinion. Continuing down, who else would they have to add on? They just got Jeff Green. They got Taurean Prince, very nice. Okay, Taurean Prince may have to be added, maybe one of the rookies, and a couple draft picks. I like this next team. They're solid. I don't think they're enough at this time to really take it because of the unknowns with Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving. However, when you look at this squad and what they would have to gut, if they lose Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert and maybe Jarrett Allen too, sorry, bro, that's no longer the same Nets threat that you had when you were thinking about going there. The only way this would work if they would gut a small amount of player, maybe a LeVert and a lot of draft picks and maybe one of the lower tier guys, maybe a Spencer Dinwiddie and Shamet and a couple of lower end guys would make sense with draft picks. But if it's not that and you get both of those guys in a trade, I think it's a no-go on the part of the Brooklyn Nets, and I would suggest they find an alternatives to help with their team. However, it is what it is. They're going to do what they're going to do. Now, if I were to reverse this around, look at it a different way, what about Kyrie Irving 1-for-1 trade with James Harden? That would be interesting. They're kind of a similar player. Kyrie is not really that much better of a facilitator than James Harden. I bet the stats show that. They all need the ball in their hands. It's very interesting to have a 6'5 guard versus an often injured 6'1 guard, but probably one of the best handling technical point guards in NBA history. Yeah, I said it. Jersey, stand up. Would he want to go play with John Wall? I tell you what, Harden to this team for Kyrie Irving makes a lot more sense. Kyrie's been often ended kind of a troublemaker with every team he's gone to because he has an opinion, a voice. I see him getting to a political stance when he's done with his NBA career. That's exciting for me. However, it just doesn't play well for the NBA. Continue to be bold, Kyrie. I know where you're at. I know what you're doing. However, it's dangerous in this league where the ownership doesn't necessarily play ball in the same way you will, and that's what makes you special. It's going to hurt them a little bit. Now, what do I say about the other teams? You got the Milwaukee Bucks as a serious contender in landing James Harden. What would that mean for that team? What would they gut to understand and get this kid after they've just made some trade propositions? I think, in my opinion, a Middleton move for this kid may make sense. But I don't know if they have enough firepower and able to get this guy. Okay? And they're both shoot first type point guard, ball in my hands type of players, and Greek Freak and him. It's going to be tough to share that ball as well. But I think there's enough hands because, no offense, Greek Freak didn't have enough support last year from a shooting perspective. This would truly give him another superstar. Okay? Now, would they have to unload a Drew Holiday? Would they have to? I mean, that's a scary factor. Who would they have? Middleton and Drew Holiday? I mean, who would they move to get James Harden? That is a score. Would it be a lot of draft picks? They're going to have to move somebody big, right? And if they have to do that, who would that be? Let's take a look at the roster real quick. Yeah, I'm the only one that goes in depth. I don't got to talk all this BS, man. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you like I mean it. Let's go in here. So when we look at the roster for the Milwaukee Bucks, as it pulls up on the slow phone. Yeah, slow phone. Slow connection. Here we go. They got Drew. They got Chris Middleton. That's kind of their big three, okay? Would they have to let go of maybe, I don't know if they have enough meat. They just got Torrey Craig. They got Nick Stauskas. I'm excited about that pickup, okay? Jordan Nwaba, the draft pick. I like him. I don't think they have enough meat. The gut job that would have to come about for them to get this guy, James Harden, would be ridiculous. And I don't know if they would be able to support that type of effort. Dante DiFangio, again, remains. Brook Lopez, they need him there. These are some of the core players. They lost Robin Lopez. I don't know if they have enough, man. I don't know if James Harden truly wants to go to this team. I don't know if this is better than John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, okay, with Greek Freak. That's what we have. The only easier circumstance he would have is the fact that he's on the East Coast and he has an easier run to the title. Who would they have to gut? It had to be three of these guys, right? It had to be Brook Lopez, maybe a Chris Middleton, a DiFangio, and a couple of draft picks. I mean, that's what may have to happen. Is that enough? Is that truly enough? You got your defensive-minded Torrey Craig. Jordan Nwaba is a big X factor if they play him. I'm not sure about the rest of the squad. I don't know what they have here and how much better they have gotten. In my opinion, they may have gotten after losing the trade for Bogdanovic out of the Kings. I think they may be up a half a point. But Drew Holiday's not taking to the championship. And by the way, Drew Holiday's not going to beat the Miami Heat in the roster in their current form. So let's go to that. That's the third option. I think that's the worst option for him, for Mr. James Harden. We're gonna get into one more. I know. Everyone talking about Joel Embiid. I know what it is. Let's get into the roster for the Miami Heat. These guys have a little bit more depth. However, they lost a lot of their gut. Jay Crowder, I believe, has left. I believe he signed somewhere else. Now, what else do they have? Right? They just signed Avery Bradley. I love the Precious Achiuwa pick, the Maurice Harkless pick. These are great players, great role players. Kenzie Apala. Again, Kendrick Nunn is there. Would they have to let him go? Would they have to let go of a Kelly Olynyk? Would they have to part with either Bam Adebayo or Tyler Hero? Maybe a Gordon Dragic? What would they have to lose to pair James Harden with Jimmy Butler? And the defensive galore that they had, what happens to that for the Miami Heat? In my opinion, this move also does not fit. This is a defensive-minded animal with three-point shooters on the outside. I don't see any reason for James Harden to want to go to this team. I don't understand why. Again, is Jimmy Butler, and I'm just saying, Bam Adebayo, you lose Hero, you lose Dragic, maybe you lose a couple draft picks. I'm just throwing guys out there, not sure who would it be. You lose none, maybe, right? Is that better than John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins? I don't think so at this time, even with the injuries. Him being slotted in there for like a Hero because of their playing style and what Jimmy Butler does, I think it's a bad situation for him. We know James Harden's better than those guys like Hero and Dragic, obviously. However, is he a stand-up three-point shooter? Does he play defense? Does he play within the system? Does he get everyone involved? Does he have an ego? Those are things that are the X factors that I think will play a role in him defeating himself and trying to get this trade. The last team, and I think the best team, the best shot for him to get something done. When I look at the roster for the Philadelphia 76ers, there is no doubt in my mind this is the team, the squad that makes the most sense for James Harden to get on. Okay, because they need offense. They've made some nice moves in the summer that no one's talking about. Okay, let's get into the lineup. I certainly like the addition of Mr. Hold on. Terrence Ferguson, drafting Tyrese Maxey. They're sleeper, man. They're sleeper. They still got some of their core players in my Scott. They drafted Paul Reed, right? Vincent Poirier comes over. I don't know if he's going to play. Justin Anderson may join the squad. Really nice looking squad right here. They have some depth, but they have enough depth to say, you know what? Danny Green, bye-bye. Ben Simmons, bye-bye. Maybe Ferguson or Maxey for James Harden. Okay, I would say now you got a core of Harden, Embiid, and Tobias Harris. That's the X factor no one's talking about. Tobias Harris is a scorer, and they got a point guard now. I believe. Where is he at? Shake Milton was there, but I believe they finally got a point guard. Derek Walton. Let's see if he makes it into. They still don't have a natural point guard. That's their issue. So I think this would probably make the most sense for him because he could have the ball in his hands and be the point guard of the team and distribute. So I think for me, with this lineup, makes more sense. They would have to gel a little bit. They would have to get a little bit more role players, but they have enough that they could lose if they don't lose their core in Joel Embiid and Mr. Tobias Harris. Simmons really doesn't fit to this. He's an excellent passer. That's great, but Embiid is not really a runner. Okay, anyway, so him going to a squad that runs would make more sense. I think even with the Achilles, they're probably 1-for-1, but Cousins may be a little bit faster than Embiid going up and down the court. John Wall's definitely a runner. I think this makes a lot more sense from a playing style perspective. Ben Simmons with Wall running up and down the court. I can see that better, and I think this is his best landing spot, especially with the amount of players they have that they could give up, potential best fit players. I'm not saying best players, best fit. Anyway, big moments right now in the NBA. Harden, the beard, wants to get gone. He has to do it in the right way. He can't be taking pictures in the strip club, a little baby, or whatever the rapper's name is. I'm out of it now because I'm old. He can't be doing that. That's just stupid. He's a star player. He's also now looked upon as a franchise player. So he has to be in the right light. He has to be in the Michael Jordan ilk, the Kobe Bryant ilk. Yeah, he has to be low key. He can do that stuff, but tell him turn the cameras off. Take out your SD cards, because if I catch you, we're going to take care of some problems, because I have an image to maintain. Now his image is kind of getting destroyed, and I don't know if he's going to command 50 million. I don't know if he's going to get to 50 million, and if he keeps going, there could be a case that the NBA says, we got so many stars coming in the next 3-4 years. Yeah, we lose revenue for a year, but you know what? F James Harden. Let him figure it out on his own. I'm worried about that, but I love the player. I love what he is. I love Kyrie. I think the best destination for this man is the Philadelphia 76ers. The Nets, it would have to be some type of scenario where they do not gut their whole team, because they need all those guys. That's what makes them special. So, on For Sports, I'm going to sign off here. Yeah, I got the talent for the view, and you got to like and subscribe and share this channel. Get me to 1,000. I want to do some lives. I want to talk about basketball. I want to talk about football, boxing. Those are my favorites. Let's chat all day. You know how it is. Off for work, off for doing business, off to sports. I'm out. Peace. God.